And now, you're listening to the Mad Dad Podcast with your host, Gabe Gonzalez.
Hey everyone, today millions of Americans and people all over the world are waking up to the same nonsensical news and media that floods their social circles and media outlets every day. It's time to flip the script and embrace the truth, freedom, and faith-based value. That's what this podcast is all about. We're here to offer you truth and motivation. I'm your host, Gabe, and you're listening to the Mad Dad Podcast. Let's get mad. Let's get motivated. What's up, everybody? This is Gabe. Welcome to week 2 of the Mad Dad Podcast. We are so excited that you are joining us today. And from the bottom of my heart, I want to thank everybody who supported us when we launched last week. In total, when we looked at all of our analytics across all platforms, we reached over 5,000 people with our content last week. We didn't get that many subscribers, but that's okay because we're going to keep coming at you every Monday with a brand new episode and with fresh content. You can help us out by subscribing and sharing this podcast. If you enjoy the video version, it's available on YouTube. And you can go to our website, maddadpodcast.com, and just see all of the different platforms that we're on. And that would really help us out. So thank you so much for your support. Let's jump into our first segment, the Mad Dad Snapshot. All right, so for the Mad Dad Snapshot, we want to bring to you some headlines in the news this past week. And the first one I'm going to come at you with is, many of you have probably heard this story by now. Holden Armenta, 9-year-old boy who goes to the Chiefs game with his dad, and there's a picture that circulated all over the internet, went viral, of him wearing a Chiefs jersey, a chieftain headdress, and the picture shows him with black paint on the side of his face. And there is a left-leaning news publication forum called Deadspin. And this reporter, his name is Karen Phillips, he decides he's going to take a picture of this kid from an angle. So you see the black paint on his face with his, chieftain headdress. And essentially he accuses this little boy of racism and wearing blackface. He takes a shot at the kid, tries to make it seem like this little boy is a representation of discrimination against the black community and also against Native Americans. And what we later find out is that actually he wasn't wearing blackface. He didn't paint his face black. This 9-year-old little boy doesn't have a vindictive agenda to attack any sort of ethnic group. But when you see the whole picture, literally, he's wearing black and red paint on his face, which are part of the colors of the Chiefs. And so the internet and all of the basement junkies, they just went wild with this, man. And everybody was talking about this little boy and how he's, a racist and how he shouldn't be doing this, and that calling on the NFL to speak out against this kid and his family. And it's like, I'm sitting here, I'm watching this, like, this is insane. I have a 9-year-old son, and if somebody did this to my son, I would be pretty upset. And so, of course, Deadspin has been debunked. The real truth came out very quickly. Now, the parents of this little boy, they're speaking out, and essentially they've hired a law firm to represent them, and they're going after Deadspin. They're filing a lawsuit for defamation of character, and basically they're calling on this publication to remove that article and to remove this rhetoric online. Also turns out that the boy, he has Native American blood in him. His grandfather is a council member of one of the Native American tribes. So this is just one example of just some of the nonsense that's out there. The next one that really caught my attention, this was just this past week. Headline says, a schoolgirl assigned to share a bed with trans-identifying boy without parental notification. This is really crazy. So in the state of Colorado, there's a school field trip, an 11-year-old girl who gets paired up with a trans boy, or in other words, a boy who is saying that he's a girl, in a room to share a bed with this kid. So when they end up getting paired up somehow in this room to sleep, The little girl, she realizes she's laying next to a boy because he decides he's going to show her his boy parts. And so she goes into the restroom, calls her parents, and tells them what happened. The school is claiming that that they were in stealth mode because they didn't want to make this trans kid feel bad about sleeping with another girl, with an actual girl. And so one of the excerpts from the article says, an 11-year-old child was placed in a position where she feared social backlash if she requested a different room in front of other students. So these people try to make her feel bad. This little girl, like, oh, why are you making a big deal about this? You're actually sleeping with another girl. When in reality, she was laying next to a boy. And here's the deeper thing for me. I'm thinking about, like, if it was my daughter, is that they're knowingly allowing their little boy to sleep in the same bed with a little girl, or go on a field trip and partake in the activities as if it's a female. Man, that's just crazy to me. And so it's just crazy when you look at what's happening in the world and you see this radical agenda where heterosexual people with a nuclear family, people who embrace, Christian Judeo principles and values, where we have to sort of bow down to the radical LGBTQ plus leftist agenda. It's a suppression of our rights, a suppression of our freedoms. And I'm just going to tell you this. If a school district, well, first of all, my daughter's not going to be going on a field trip and staying overnight anywhere without me there or her mom. But if a school district were to put a little boy in bed with my daughter, I don't even think I could say what I would do on air, because it's insane. This is ridiculous. So that happened. I'll post the article in the show notes for you. And I couldn't believe that. All right, the last thing I want to bring to you, this one is kind of funny to me. So the Daily Wire, they released a movie called Lady Ballers. I've seen it, and first let me just say, I definitely recommend, do not watch this with children whatsoever. And I didn't watch it. I watched it by myself. It's not a movie like you're going to sit down and watch, like, a Marvel movie. It's not that type of vibe. It's satire, it's comedy, and it literally is making fun of and kind of pointing to the ludicrousness of the idea that a biological male, is able to participate in women's sports against biological females. And so the Daily Wire, they spent $250,000 on advertising on the social media platform X, formerly known as Twitter, after Disney last month announced that it would no longer be advertising on the X platform. And so there's been a lot of back and forth in the news. I'm sure a lot of you probably saw that news clip where Elon Musk, when he's asked about, Disney and Bob Iger pulling out of, Twitter and not advertising, and he has choice words that I can't say because I'm a Christian and this is a Christian podcast. But Daily Wire decided to capitalize on that. And essentially they spent $250,000 advertising for Lady Ballers. What I like about what Daily Wire is doing is they're not just having like social media rants and wars back and forth with the left, but they're actually kind of presenting these controversial topics in a way that brings awareness to just really the ludicrousness of this, and at the same time gives you a little bit of entertainment and kind of makes it fun in that way. And so I definitely recommend, if that's kind of your vibe, go check it out, Lady Ballers, and let us know what you think. All right, guys, before we get into the next segment, I have to come at you with a really solid dad joke, because every dad has good dad jokes. And this is the Mad Dad Podcast. So I thought, you know what? Why don't we just throw some good dad jokes out every now and then? The Mad Dad joke of the week is this. You ready? Here it is. If you see a crime at an Apple store, what are you? An eyewitness. You're an eyewitness, man. iPhone, iPad, eyewitness. Oh, DJ can't contain himself. He's laughing so hard right now. All right, let's jump into the up-to-date segment. All right, today I want to bring you a story about a USC economics professor named Dr. John Strauss. You probably, I'm going to guess, most people may not have really heard about it because really there wasn't a whole lot of media coverage on this particular story. So Dr. John Strauss, he's an economics professor from USC, and he was banned from stepping foot on his campus after there was what the article and what the news is calling it an altercation with a group of protesters who were protesting in favor of Hamas and Palestine. So as you know, right now in the world, there's a conflict between Israel and Hamas. This is in the world stage, and there's a lot of rhetoric coming from the United States, anti-Semitic rhetoric from a lot of left-leaning news sources, a lot of students and people on universities, campuses, education, politics. I mean, it really, to be honest with you, it shocks me how much people I'm seeing taking a stand with Hamas and with Palestine against Israel. And I never thought we would be in a world where that was so prominent. And so it strikes me as odd that this type of rhetoric, this type of discussion is even something that is now like a point of debate for a lot of people. So let me give you the kind of the background of what happened. And first I want to start by telling you who is Dr. John Strauss. Okay. First of all, he's a Jew. Okay. He is of Jewish origin, Jewish blood. He's an economics professor at the University of Southern California. And he had received his PhD in economics and agricultural economics from Michigan State University in 1981. Okay, this guy's been a professor. He's been a doctor for over 40 years. He is recognized as a specialist in the fields of developmental economics and household economics. He's the editor-in-chief of the scientific journal Economic Development and Cultural Change. He's the co-editor of the University Handbook, Development Economics, Volume 4. He's the principal investigator for the Indonesia Life Survey, and he's also the principal investigator for the China Health and Retirement Longitudinal Study. Okay, so this guy is a very prominent voice in the field of economics. He's taught at both graduate and doctoral levels at Michigan State University, at Yale, at the University of Virginia, and CSU. He's also has an honorific professorship at Peking University. Okay, this guy's published numerous articles. He's done studies all over the world. He's a recognized voice in research and in publications on the subject of economics. He's been honored and recognized by several large foundations, including the National Bureau of Economic Research. This guy is an economic genius. This guy has been teaching young minds who are pursuing their graduate level and doctoral level educations for over 40 years. He's dedicated his life to teaching and to these prolific universities. I mean, you're talking about Yale. Okay, that's a big name to have on your resume. All right, so let me paint a picture for you as to what happened. Dr. Strauss is walking on the campus, probably going to the cafeteria or to his classroom, I don't know. And he's walking by a group of protesters full of students, some of them who are wearing, like jihad type headdresses, and they're shouting and they're chanting, "Shut it down for Palestine," talking about shutting down the university. And they're saying, "Down with Israel from the river to the sea." Okay. They're using anti-Semitic rhetoric that came from Hamas, whose goal is to wipe out every Jew and to completely wipe Israel off the face of the map. They're shouting this, okay? They're openly supporting Hamas. They're openly supporting Palestine, who, by the way, have killed thousands of Jews who have been fighting with Israel for several months now. And they're shouting this, and he walks by, and this is what he says. I quote, "You guys are ignorant. You're completely ignorant." He looks over. He's like, man, these kids are ignorant. That's all that happened. No physical altercation, no fighting, no going up to them and, knocking their table over or yelling in their faces. He's walking by and he says, you guys are ignorant. A few students approach him. They say something inaudible. It's really hard to tell on the video what they're saying, but they seem to be antagonizing him and still ranting and shouting in his face. And he then says, Hamas are all murderers. They all are. Everyone should be killed. I hope they all are. Now, look, we're not talking about, bloodshed of innocent life or, and I would never support that. I don't support, people we just go out and murder people. That's not what he's talking about here. What he's talking about is a group of terrorists who have openly publicized their desire to kill Jews, to commit mass genocide. And these people have live streamed on Instagram and Facebook their attack on Israel, their brutal murders and rape and complete just utter destruction of Israeli families. They've taken hostages. They've killed people. They've openly pledged to wipe out Israel. That's who he's talking about. He's not talking about women and children in the street playing. No. He's talking about brutal murderers. He says Hamas is murdered. These kids are shouting on their campus, probably students from his class, down with Israel from river to sea. And he's like, you guys are ignorant. You guys are supporting something that more than likely none of them are even tied to. That is all that happened. So these students and a bunch of left-wing nuts go crying to the university and say that Dr. Strauss is emitting hate speech, that he is being hateful in his speech, that he's being derogatory, that he's speaking out against students, when all he was doing, by the way, he's a Jew, folks. He's a Jew. Imagine, I want you to picture this. Imagine tonight a group of mass people break into your house, drag you and your wife out of bed and your kids, and completely violate you in front of them, kill you, and then while live streaming it, right? Because that's what Hamas did. They live streamed their attack on Israel, and then tomorrow, when the police go out hunting for them, you get a group of people that are like, yeah, this was a good idea. And someone says, man, you're ignorant. These people are murderers. They should face the death penalty for what they've done. Because if that happened in America, the punishment is the death penalty, a life sentence in prison, and ultimately the death penalty. So he's not promoting hate speech. He's not over here like, yeah, he's not going to this, to his Big Five and buying a machine gun, an AR, and going over there and murdering innocent people, or even promoting that we do that. He's speaking out about his own kin, his people who are being attacked by these evil people, these evil murderers. And he's like looking at these students over here in Southern California who are being brainwashed by the leftist media, leftist news outlets, by social media, by all of these public influencers that are speaking out in favor of Palestine. And he's like, you guys are ignorant. You don't even know what you're talking about. You've never even experienced the type of persecution that the Jews are experiencing right now. And the people that you're chanting for, they're murderers, and they're the ones who should be being killed right now. And guess what the university does? 41-year professor. He's got tenure at the university. He's a prolific voice. He's taught probably thousands of students. And guess what? He's not allowed to come back to the campus. He's not allowed to step foot on the campus because those students feel like they were being attacked by Dr. John Strauss. Quiet, meek, little kind of hunched over, humble guy who is listening to the students practice free speech, by the way. I want to remind you, we're in America where your speech is protected, even speech like this, where these people are openly supporting terrorists, yet we still allow them to because they live in the United States of America, and if they're American citizens, they're protected with that right to be able to say what they want, to express their opinion. So he just expresses his, and he's the one who gets kicked off of campus? He's the one who is being told that he can't come back? This is backward, folks. This is completely backwards. This is wrong. This shouldn't have happened to this professor. And you know what's crazy is last night I was watching the news, and I was watching where Congress was interviewing 3 deans of some of the most prolific universities. Harvard University was one of them. I forget what the other 2 were. And they were specifically asking these deans, is hate speech, anti-Semitic speech, is that considered harassment and inappropriate conduct? And not one of those deans would acknowledge that. Not one of them would give a straight answer and say yes. You know what their answer is? Well, it depends on the context. If context turns into action. Do you see what's wrong with this? Do you see what's wrong with our society? Do you see what they're trying to do to our kids? They're trying to teach young, impressionable minds to support their just outrageously ungodly agenda. I mean, you want to talk about the Bible, you want to talk about scripture. The Bible says that we need to support Israel. We need to pray for Israel, that anyone who stands against Israel stands against God. You know, I say, Lord, help the people, help those people. This is outrageous to me. And I just can't believe that. Well, let me rephrase. I do believe it, but it's pathetic. It's sad that this university has banned Dr. Strauss from being able to be on his campus because of his hate speech. It just makes you wonder, is your speech really protected if what you have to say goes against the mainstream agenda? You can check out more information on this article by going to our website and clicking the show notes. I'll have the article posted for you there. If you want to support Dr. Strauss, there's many different petitions online to allow him to be able to return back to school. I signed one of them on change.org/John Strauss. This has been the Up-to-Date segment. Let's get ready to jump into our Monday motivation. Hey, everybody. I want to invite you to subscribe and join the tribe. Go to our website, maddadpodcast.com, and join our weekly newsletter. Our editor, Joseph, he is producing awesome content every week. And our promise to you is we're not going to overwhelm your inbox with pointless long emails. In fact, right at the top, this is probably one of my favorite features of our newsletter. It tells you the word count and about how long the read is. Last week's newsletter was only 1.5 minute read, and it was just kind of like highlights from our episode and some content that we wanted to put out there. So go to the website, maddadpodcast.com, subscribe to our newsletter, and join the tribe. All right, let's get into Monday motivation. This is what some of you have been waiting for. Last week, when we were getting a lot of positive feedback from everybody, one of the constant themes and comments that we heard is that people really enjoyed the motivation. And so we want to definitely lean into that and give you motivation. Let me just tell you this. Every day, it is so important for your mind to be right when you start your day, to be in the right mindset. I like to think of it as the warrior mentality. When you wake up, you're just ready to conquer the day. There's going to be challenges. None of us know what tomorrow holds or what today holds, in the future. We don't know. So the best thing I can do is prepare myself to be ready for the day. And that's what I love about the Monday Motivation segment, is that we're here to offer you every week something positive to start your day, to start your Monday, or to start your week with. And so today, our topic is consistency. Consistency. This one right here is going to hit close to home for me because first I want to say this, that being consistent is a discipline that takes work. It takes work. It takes intentionalism. And I know in my life, as I look inwardly and I have a time of introspection, I know that there are areas of my life that are lacking consistency right now. But I don't go cry in a corner thinking, oh my God, I'm not consistent. No, what I do is I'm constantly analyzing, I'm constantly working on my life to find out how can I improve my consistency? How can I be consistent with my health? How can I be consistent with my daily disciplines? How can I be consistent in my relationships with those around me, with my marriage, being a father? Being this is the Mad Dad podcast. being consistent as a father, being present. Dad's going to be a support. That dad is a voice in my life that speaks into me. That dad is also someone that I can talk to. Like, you have to work at being consistent. And it's kind of funny when I think about it like this, but you have to consistently be consistent. Look, consistency, it is the key to the mastery of anything. Our quote of the week is from Dr. John Maxwell. He says, small disciplines repeated with consistency every day lead to great achievements gained slowly over time. I think that being consistent is probably one of the greatest challenges that every man and woman, every human being has in life. Why? Because by our faulty human nature, it is built within us to always take the path of least resistance, to always take the easy road. Even biblically, right? What does the Bible say? The Bible says that wide and broad is the way that leads to destruction. And there's going to be many that take that path, but narrow is the way that leads to life, and few there be that find it. And obviously that scripture has eternal implications. But what I'm saying is that the natural route for humanity is to take the easy road, because who wants to deal with difficulty? Who wants to deal with, challenge? None of us do, at least not naturally. But we have to work at becoming consistent in our life. Everything from your morning routine to your daily disciplines to your relationships to everything that you're doing in your life, to your word, right? There was especially I feel like maybe this isn't as applicable anymore, but I remember a time when a man's word was everything. He said he was going to be somewhere, he was there. Said he was going to do something, he was going to do it. Being consistent is so important. And you may be looking at areas of your life right now, even as I'm talking, and realizing that there's areas that need improvement. Here's what I want to challenge you. Don't beat yourself up. Don't feel hopeless. Oh man, I'm never going to get there. Maybe you've been trying to be, like, I'll speak from my heart, trying to lose weight. That's, it's easy. There's people that are out there like, you just got to get up and do it and quit being a sissy and go work out. Okay, yeah, I agree. But consistency is the hard part. You know how many times I've got up and done it for 6 months and see some results and then fall off the wagon? And so for me, that's an area that I'm working on. But you know what I'm not doing? Like, oh, well, guess I'm just going to be fat forever. Just go eat some donuts, or crying in the corner like, oh my God, I'm a loser because I haven't lost the weight yet. No, that's the problem with a lot of men, especially in today's day age, is that our society is trying to soften the minds and the will of men. It starts in the heart, your will, your desire to do and accomplish something, that when I say I'm going to do this, I'm going to do it. I'm going to be consistent. And it requires making adjustments. It requires making intentional decisions and adjustments in your life to become and to do exactly what you intend and set out to do. It requires intentionalism. And so I don't want you to sit there and sulk in your misery because you're not where you want to be. Look, the moment you stop pursuing a higher goal, the moment you stop pursuing the greatest version of you, the moment you stop pursuing improvement is the moment that all hope is lost for you. When you stop pursuing it, okay, there's no hope for you. But if you can make up in your mind, I'm never going to stop improving. I'm never going to stop growing. I'm never going to stop becoming. I'm going to work on these areas of my life. You're going to be a better man for it. You're going to be a better person for it. So I want to give you 5 quick tips to build habits of consistency in your life. Number 1, set small, achievable goals. This part is so important. A lot of times what we do is we set this massive goal. I'm going to lose 100 pounds this year. Okay, realistically, it's not impossible, and absolutely you can. But if that's your target, you have a higher chance of missing that than saying, I want to lose 5 pounds each month, which would be 60 pounds in the year, right? 60 pounds isn't 100 pounds, but guess what's a more achievable goal? 5 pounds a month instead of 100 pounds in a year. Set smaller, achievable goals. It helps you measure your progress better, and it helps you celebrate faster. Number 2, learn the art of planning and preparation. Failing to plan is planning to fail. You've got to learn the art of preparation. You've got to learn to sit down, look at your life and say, okay, what things need to change? How can I plan? What plan am I going to come up with? Every sport has a playbook. Every team, anyone who's ever done anything in life didn't just do it by osmosis. They had a plan. They had a goal. They had a methodology. So there's tons of resources out there that you can look for to help you become the person that you want to be and to help you formulate a plan. You have to learn how to plan. You have to learn how to prepare. Number 3, when you're planning, be ready for the unexpected. Be ready for the unexpected. I, by nature, I'm a planner. I'm a type A personality. And when I was younger, one of the things that really used to throw me off my game was when unexpected things worked their way into my plan. I have a plan, I have a goal, I start planning, and boom, something happens. You're like, wait, how did that happen? Oh my gosh, and my whole plan's messed up. And I had to learn. It took some discipline. It took some mentors in my life. It took some people speaking into my life. I had to learn to be ready for the unexpected. So how do you do that? Really what it's about learning how to adapt. The Marine Corps has a slogan, adapt and overcome, right? My dad used to tell us that all the time. Adapt and overcome. Learn how to adapt. Learn how to make adjustments, because you're going to have to make adjustments. You're going to have to make adjustments to your life, to your schedule, to your plan, to your routine, to a lot of different areas. So be ready for the unexpected, because when you set your plan and you get all pumped up and hyped up and you're ready to go, boom, something's going to happen that you weren't expecting. You can fall off the wagon and lose the art of consistency, or you can step it up and you can say, all right, I'm going to adjust. This is not what I expected, but we're going to make an adjustment here. Number 4, keep a schedule, keep a calendar. Even if whether you work or even if you're stay-at-home parent or you have days off, keep a schedule. People who just kind of like float through life, are they happy? I'm not gonna say that someone who just kind of goes with the flow is an unhappy person, but I will say this: they're maybe not as productive as they could be. You have to maintain a schedule. You have to maintain, that's part of a daily discipline. Okay, I'm going to get up at this time. I'm going to get out of bed. This is how long it's going to take me to get ready. This is what I plan to do in my morning routine. This is how long it's going to take me to commute to work. Or if you have the privilege of being remote, you go up to your desk, but keep a schedule. Plan your days out. Plan your week. Know what's happening. The more prepared you are, the more you're able to maintain consistency in your life. How can you be consistent if you don't know what's happening tomorrow? And I'm not talking about being able to tell the future. I'm saying your plan, your schedule for the week. Schedule your workouts. Schedule your time for devotion. Schedule your time for study. Schedule your reading time. Schedule time with your wife. Schedule time with your children. You say, man, that's like really overboard. Is it? Because if you don't schedule those things, how intentional are you about them? Keeping a schedule. Every successful person I know, every mentor I've ever had, they're people who know how to plan, and they're people who have a schedule. And last but not least, give yourself a time of rest. Look, one of the greatest things that I see, especially if you're a hard worker, you're a go-getter, and what I see in a lot of men is they don't know how to pause. They don't know how to rest. They don't know how to take a moment to give themselves the mental and spiritual and physical rest that they need. There's all kinds of studies that talk about this. The link between rest and health is so important. Think about this. A lot of Christians misquote the Bible because they say God created the heavens and the earth in 7 days. No, he didn't. He created the heavens and the earth in 6 days. But on the 7th day, he rested. If God Almighty, the creator of the universe, took a time of rest, then we need to give ourselves a time of rest. Rest is so important. And what I see and what I've experienced in my personal life, the times when I'm not being consistent is usually a lot of times because of burnout. You start to get a burnout of your routine or burnout of and you can't keep up with it. Why? Because you're not giving yourself enough rest. So take a time, plan a moment of rest, because that is so vital. So set small, achievable goals, learn the art of planning, plan for the unexpected, keep a schedule, and make a time of rest. My friend, I want to tell you this. You have what it takes to be consistent. You have what it takes. God has given you all of the tools, all of the resources, all of the building blocks for the foundation of consistency in your life. And if you've been lacking in this area, it's time to step it up. I'm speaking to myself. It's time to step it up. It's time to step up your consistency and become the person that God created you to be. Become the man that God created you to be. Become the woman that God created you to be, because you have what it takes. That's all I got for Monday Motivation today. I hope you enjoyed this content. We would love to hear back from you, hear your feedback. You can leave us a comment on any of these platforms here. Let us know what you thought about today's Monday Motivation. If there's a topic that you'd like to hear more about, please send us a message, and we'd love to bring these topics to the Mad Dad podcast. Hey, before we leave today, we want to invite you to join the tribe. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button and follow us, share this content. You can also support us by becoming a sponsor of this show. Go to our website, maddadpodcast.com, click on sponsors, and there's 3 different levels of sponsorship that you can subscribe to. Hey, everybody, this has been the Mad Dad Podcast. If you enjoyed this content, we will be right back here next Monday with more great content like this. Thanks for watching, and we hope you have a great week. Stay mad and stay motivated.